Well, seeing is not always believing, because maybe I'm here, maybe I'm not. And maybe I'm here, or here. Hello friends, welcome back to the show. So glad to see all of you once again. And if you're new here, I'm glad to see you too, because this is the show that I wish somebody would make for me, where we go back and look at shows that we grew up on from the 80s and 90s, and we are getting into a little bit of the 2000s as we work our way through a series talking about Batman Beyond, a show that I didn't watch a lot of when it first came out, but I'm having a good time watching it now and talking about it with all of you. And today we're talking about the episode Eyewitness, which originally aired on January 22nd, 2000.
Just make sure you know what you're up against before you jump in.
This is a really solid episode and has a lot of those great elements that I've been craving from Batman Beyond from the beginning, and really incorporates a lot of these great things into this episode really well, from mysteries to intrigue to adventure to action to all these kind of elements. But we'll talk all about that right after our 60-second rundown of the episode. I like to give you a brief synopsis of the episode, well, sometimes not so brief, of what goes on in the episode, just so we're all on the same page. But I try to do it in 60 seconds. If I don't, that bomb's going to blow up. We'll see if I get it. Batman is out on patrol and he sees some mysterious activity over at this place, and he goes in there and he accidentally breaks up the sting that the police have been working on. Barbara goes to Batman and says, "Hey, listen, you got to get control of this kid. He's a hothead." He rushes in and he messed this all up. And then we have the commissioner giving this speech, and Mad Stan comes in and goes, "I'm going to blow everything up." Batman swoops in and goes, "I'll save the day." And then he fights Mad Stan, and Barbara Gordon sees him kill Mad Stan, and she puts out a warrant for his arrest, shows up at his house, he's not there, and Bruce goes, "You got to turn him in, this isn't any good." He goes, "I'll look at the cameras." And then he calls Terry and goes, "You got to turn yourself in, you can't go around killing people." He goes, "I didn't kill anybody, I just elbowed him." And he goes, "Well, let me look, maybe there's more at this, you got to trust me, stay where you're at." And he starts looking at the footage and starts digging into that, and Barbara's trying to get Batman, and eventually he sees, and he goes, "Oh, there's somebody in the shadows." He goes, "Oh, it's Spellbinder." And then so the final showdown at the theater, and he goes, "Hey, it's Spellbinder's behind this." And so Barbara's standoff, they're trying to get him to not blow up like this. And he throws the batarang and hits the Spellbinder thing and breaks the spell from everybody, and they're seeing things as they are. And he goes, "Oh, see, good thing that I wasn't in trouble after all, and you should just trust me." Something like that.
"You idiot, you're ruining everything."
From the very opening of this show felt very much like a Batman episode. We're in the city, it's night, it's raining, it's a storm. Batman's out on patrol looking for bad guys. It just felt like a Batman. And also, the opening of this is very tight. I mean, a lot happens in this, and it sets up this little mystery. This isn't just a throwaway scene, but we get to see revisit the contention that there is between Barbara Gordon and Batman, and he messes up, and he's a kid, and all those things tie into that very well.
Sorry doesn't begin to cut it.
My eye itches. Ow. What have I got in there? Oh, my finger.
The boy is still learning.
It's also a really sweet scene where Barbara and Bruce Wayne are sitting at Wayne Manor and drinking some tea, and they reference Alfred without saying it.
If only I could figure out how he made those little tea cakes.
Alfred's gone, and I'm sure, I keep wanting them to like address it or pay full tribute to him, but I'm sure he just passed away from old age. But it is kind of nice that he's remembered, and even Bruce kind of speaking fondly of him. It's a sweet scene.
We've made the requisite small talk.
And Mad Stan is back, playing a little bit more of a prominent role in this, and it felt again, and I thought that this was a nice way, and again, I don't know if this was deliberate, but where they trickled in Mad Stan in some of the past episodes and wasn't really taken seriously. It was just sort of a divergent to get Batman somewhere else when he didn't need to be, or something, some other mission, or a sidestep in some way. So when he comes into this episode, I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, here we go, another little Mad Stan cameo.
The whole political system is corrupt.
And so it kind of really caught me off guard when Batman shows up and he's trying to fight him, and oh, I'm just going to go back to prison and I'll get out in no time, and all that, kind of playing mind games with him. And to see Terry just out of nowhere snap and kill him was very shocking, which is the whole point of it. And I remember thinking when I saw that like, oh, this can't be right. Something else is going on. And it sets up this great mystery.
No! Oh!
Don't!
So it's almost like we had two kind of false openings to the episode. We had Terry breaking up that police sting operation, and then Terry killing Mad Stan was kind of nice. And it kind of set up this story, and now we're off and running. And all that happens relatively quickly and early in the episode. I thought, oh, this is cool. What an interesting mystery.
But now I'm finally going to put an end to it.
Comparing it in a positive way, I don't think that this plot had been explored really. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you can think of an episode where Batman is falsely accused of murdering somebody or doing something that he didn't, and there being a very credible eyewitness. I mean, the police commissioner is going, I saw you do it. You murdered him. I was standing right there.
Look, all I know is the commissioner wants him brought in for questioning.
And it's plots like this that I really kind of dig into and makes me lean forward. And I like kind of a little bit of a mystery in there. To me, that's always kind of the element of Batman that I enjoy the most. You know, there's so many elements to Batman that I enjoy, but one of those that I really lean into is the mystery. I like a little detective work. I like a little bit of like, why is this happening? And not just, I think that's always been my thing with Superman. I enjoy a good Superman movie or show as much as the next person, but there typically is not much of a mystery in that. It's, oh, there's an evil thing coming in and Superman has to stop it. How's he going to do it is really the extent of it.
If you take him in, you'll expose his secret. And mine.
But it was also really kind of neat to see Barbara out there on the front lines doing police work and carrying a gun and shooting, getting involved in police work like her father did, which was kind of cool and a kind of a neat nod to that. And something I always liked about Commissioner Gordon, Jim Gordon, is he wasn't afraid to get out there and get his hands dirty. He wasn't just sitting behind a desk. And so it was neat to see Barbara doing the same thing, which was what a strong, cool character that she's developed into, and not, you know, especially given her background of being Batgirl at one point, you would think that she would be carrying that on in this manner, and she does, and it's really cool to see.
What took you so long?
Now, I do have to kind of poke a few holes into this episode. This is always kind of my struggle with some of these episodes of, I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm going to run from the authorities. And I get it. The episode would end if he's like, okay, well, I turned myself in until we get this all sorted out. I know, but it's always something that I kind of struggle with, that I'm like, you know, if you didn't do it, just, you know, comply and follow the orders.
You might as well surrender.
Sorry, not in my vocabulary.
But in this episode, it's like, okay, he knows he didn't kill Mad Stan, but he still stole police vehicles and wrecked part of the city. Like, there's a crime in there somewhere. And is running from the law is a bit to deal with. So, yeah, Terry.
There he is. Stop him.
It was also a fun element in this episode to see Bruce doing some detective work. I always like it when he's involved in that area, which makes perfect sense. I mean, at this point, he can't go out on the front lines physically, is not able to do the Batman thing. But his mind seems to be as sharp as ever. And certainly at this point, he's now got even more years and more experience under his belt to do, and more technology at his fingertips and disposal to do even more detective work. So I like seeing him carry on that work and carry on that role. And it seems like something that he would be doing more of given his situation.
Why would Barbara see something different?
And I know we talked about it before, that there's some episodes where it's like all he's doing is just yelling Terry, but episodes like this where he's doing what he can from the Batcave is cool and refreshing to see that.
You're not authorized to use this frequency.
And I'm not big on pointing out inconsistencies. I understand how animation works and trying to draw this and match this and several different people working on it, and then, oh, that storyboard changed, and oh, well, we did that, we got to get by with that, we got to use this, because I get all that. But there's something very glaringly obvious in this, and I'm not sure if it's deliberate or if it's part of that. But when you see Terry with the, whatever that is, the barrel thing, ready to kill Mad Stan at the beginning and seemingly kills him, they're in an enclosed parking deck thing. There's a roof, there's walls, there's all that. And then when Bruce is doing the detective work and looking at the cameras, it's very clearly on top of a parking deck thing. There's no walls, no ceiling, nothing. And that confused me. I mean, it was so glaringly obvious that it kind of confused me to go, wait a minute, did the murder happen somewhere else, or is Bruce watching the wrong camera? Or I was just very confused by that. And I don't know if that was deliberate because I was part of the spell, the illusion thing that Spellbinder was doing or what, but it just felt so obvious that like nobody caught that if it was a mistake. And if it was deliberate, they didn't address why it was deliberate or why that happened. So again, I'm not big on pointing out those inconsistencies, but that one was pretty obvious.
He went too far.
And I do say that this is now the third appearance of Spellbinder and is quickly becoming one of my favorite villains in Batman Beyond. And I think because he's so original and so interesting. And here we have his third appearance and his third tactic, third approach to crime and to doing something different with his power.
You were so ready to believe the worst.
You know, if you've seen me review the Scarecrow episodes, which you see up here, one of my issues with it is like, it's the same thing over and over again. Oh, he makes somebody afraid. Just not that interesting. Whereas you have Spellbinder, and each time he comes in, he's doing something different, using his power a different way, and is really kind of mysterious. I don't know if it's a guy in a suit. I don't know if it's just thing of an alien. I don't know. It's so interesting, and I really kind of enjoy him. I like what they're doing with that character, and that's the kind of villains that I want to see. Is that we don't need just it to be the old Rogues Gallery reinvented. Here's a whole new thing. Yeah, he's got some abilities similar to Scarecrow. The hypnosis guy is kind of like that, but just pretty interesting, a pretty solid villain for that.
It was easy.
Lock him up.
And it makes me excited to see more from him and what they're going to do with him in the future episodes. And also what's neat about it is he wasn't in a lot of the episode. I mean, he was there, he was involved and all that, but you didn't know about him until towards the end of the episode, and is just, which is also just kind of an interesting approach to the villain. Is like, here he created this scenario that we're fighting, and it was the same thing with his other episode where there were the virtual reality stuff where he was just kind of pulling the strings and making other things happen, which is kind of cool from a villain.
Sorry, kid. I guess I blew it.
But I do have to say, I was a little confused at the end of what actually happened. I get the premise, I get what was happening, but I don't understand what was real and what was fake, which is maybe the whole point of it. The whole thing with Mad Stan, was that all an illusion? Was Mad Stan actually there? And why did it, when the commissioner comes up and was like, oh, Batman killed him. Well, he clearly wasn't killed. He was just knocked out. So Terry was right. And then why was he at the morgue and then wasn't at the morgue? Did they convince them they weren't at the morgue? So it was a little confusing there at the end of what actually was happening, but still kind of all adds into the mystery, which is kind of fun.
By the way, have you heard about your so-called victim?
Mad Stan? Did they finally find him?
When it comes time to rank this episode, what a contrast from the past episodes. I feel like we've been going through this path in the middle of the second season where it was just sort of like high school dramas and uninteresting plots and kind of basic storylines and simple kind of premises and that. And this one is the exact opposite. This is a really solid episode, lots of elements in there, well thought out, good villain, original villain, new story, Bruce doing some work, Barbara doing some work, Terry doing his thing, a new twist on like, oh, him being wrongfully accused. Lots and lots of really cool stuff in this episode, and I really enjoyed it. So for all those reasons, it falls at the number 4 spot of my favorite episodes so far, in the top 5 and well seated in the top 10. This had a lot of great elements to it, and I think it deserves to be up there. Now, I do have it falling just below Hooked Up, another Spellbinder episode, just because that one incorporated more to it. It had virtual reality realm to it, is made that one just a little bit more interesting, but I think it's a testament to the villain that here we have Spellbinder well seated in the top 5 is says a lot for him. But I do have this beating out Blackout because that was an early episode with Ink, which is, she's a cool villain and I like what they're doing with that character. But again, that felt just sort of a origin story and was early enough in the series that I kind of ranked that up higher. And there hasn't been a lot of episodes to kind of beat that out. But this one just had enough of a well-rounded, enough of a built-in story base to it to just squeak that one out.
Wonder what he's so happy about.
So this one totally took me off guard. I didn't see where they were going with the mystery. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was totally believing what Spellbinder was putting out there. So, but let me know, do you remember when you first saw this, if you took the bait on that and were following this down that rabbit hole of what was happening, or did you kind of see where it was going? Was it a little predictable? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button. If you want to see more episodes, just hit subscribe. I have new episodes coming out every week. But if you can't wait till next week, I do have some other episodes listed right over here that you can take a look at, other reviews that I've done. And so check out some of the past episodes. And check back because next up I have the episode Final Cut. So you don't want to miss that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode. I'll see you soon.